There are two kinds of network failures. The first kind is clean. Something breaks, everything stops working, and it's obvious. The router is offline, the cable is unplugged, the service is down. It's frustrating, but it's diagnosable. You find the broken thing, fix it, and everything comes back. The second kind is the one that makes engineers want to pull their hair out. Everything appears to be working. All the lights are green, no error messages, and yet something is wrong. A video call that drops every few minutes for no reason. A file transfer that stalls, resumes, stalls again. A game server connection that stutters on a schedule that seems almost deliberate. You reload, you restart, you check every setting. Nothing helps, because nothing is visibly broken. If you've ever experienced this, and most people who use the internet regularly have, there's a good chance the problem wasn't in your device or your router or even your ISP's local infrastructure. The problem was somewhere much further upstream, in the routing layer itself. A route that couldn't decide whether it was up or down, appearing, disappearing, and reappearing in routing tables across the network, over and over, like a door that won't stay shut. That phenomenon is called route flapping, and it is one of the most disruptive, hardest to diagnose, and most consequential forms of instability in network routing. To understand route flapping, start with what a stable route looks like. Under normal conditions, when a router has a valid path to a destination, it installs that route in its routing table and keeps it there. The route is advertised to neighbors. Neighbors install it in their tables. Traffic flows. Nothing interesting happens. Stability, in routing, is quiet. You only notice routing when it misbehaves. Now imagine a link somewhere in the network that is almost working. Maybe it's a physical cable with a damaged connector that loses signal intermittently. Maybe it's a wireless link affected by interference that comes and goes. Maybe it's a router with a hardware fault that causes its interface to reset periodically. Maybe it's a congested link that drops enough packets to trigger failure detection timers, then clears briefly, then congests again. Whatever the cause, the effect on the routing layer is the same. The router monitoring that link sees it go down. It withdraws the routes that depended on it, sending updates to its neighbors. Those destinations are no longer reachable through me. Neighbors update their tables, trigger their own updates, and the withdrawal ripples outward through the network. Traffic reroutes. Then the link comes back. The router detects it's up again, reinstalls the routes, and advertises them back to its neighbors. Those destinations are reachable through me again. Another round of updates ripples outward. Traffic shifts back. Then the link goes down again, then up, then down. Each transition up to down to up, triggers a full round of routing updates propagating through the network. If the link is oscillating every 30 seconds, the network is processing 2 full rounds of routing updates per minute for every router that has visibility into those routes. Not just the immediate neighbors of the flapping link, every router in the network that carries routes depending on that link. This is route flapping, and the damage it causes extends far beyond the users trying to use that specific route. Here's what makes flapping particularly destructive. The cost isn't just paid by the people using the flapping route, it's paid by the entire network. Every routing update consumes resources. Routers have to process the update, recompute their routing tables, and propagate the new information to their own neighbors. During convergence, the period we covered in the last video, routers are doing computational work and generating network traffic just to keep their tables current. For a single link failure, this convergence cost is paid once. The network detects the change, updates, settles, and goes quiet. The cost is bounded. For a flapping route, the convergence cost is paid continuously. The network never settles. Every time the route changes state, a new round of updates fires. Every router in the affected area has to recompute. If the flapping is fast enough, if the route is oscillating multiple times per minute, routers can spend so much time processing updates that they have less capacity to actually forward traffic. The routing infrastructure becomes consumed by the effort of tracking an unstable route, degrading performance for every user on the network, not just those using the flapping path. At internet scale, this effect is amplified enormously. BGP, the protocol that governs routing between organizations, connects hundreds of thousands of routers operated by thousands of different networks. A single significant route flapping in the global BGP table generates updates that propagate across the entire internet. Every BGP router that receives the update has to process it. If the route flaps repeatedly, that processing load repeats. During historically turbulent periods in BGP, operators have measured update rates of tens of thousands of messages per second flooding through the global routing system, all generated by a relatively small number of unstable routes, each one rippling outward and consuming resources at every router it reaches. This is why route flapping is treated not just as a local problem, but as a threat to the stability of the network as a whole. So how does the network protect itself? The primary defense is a mechanism called route dampening, and it's worth understanding both how it works and what it costs. The idea behind dampening is straightforward. If a route keeps flapping, stop advertising it for a while. Give the underlying problem time to resolve and prevent the instability from continuously generating updates across the network. Here's how it works in practice. Every time a route is withdrawn, every time it flaps from up to down, a penalty counter attached to that route increases. Every time the route is restored, flapping back up, the penalty increases again. Between flaps, the penalty decays gradually over time, like a cooling-off period. If the penalty exceeds a defined threshold, if the route has flapped enough times in a short enough window, the route is suppressed. The router stops advertising it to neighbors, even when the route is technically available. From the rest of the network's perspective, that route has gone quiet. The flood of updates stops. The suppressed route remains suppressed until its penalty has decayed back below a reuse threshold, a lower value than the suppression threshold, to prevent it from oscillating immediately back into suppression the moment it's restored. Only then does the router start advertising the route again. Dampening is effective at protecting the network from the worst effects of severe flapping. But it has a real cost. The route is being hidden even during the windows when it's genuinely available. Traffic that could have used it doesn't, because the router isn't advertising it. Users on paths that depend on that route experience an outage that lasts longer than the actual instability would have produced. Because even when the link stabilizes, the dampening timer hasn't yet released the route. This is a deliberate trade-off. The network prioritizes stability over availability. A consistently available route is more valuable than a route that's available most of the time, but keeps triggering network-wide update storms. Dampening accepts worse service for users of the flapping path in exchange for protecting the stability and performance of the broader network. There's another dimension to route flapping that's worth understanding, because it explains a category of intermittent failures that has nothing to do with physical link problems. Routing software makes decisions based on timers, hello intervals, dead timers, hold down periods. These timers are configurable, and when two neighboring routers are configured with timers that are subtly incompatible, or when network congestion causes timer messages to arrive late, routers can declare each other unreachable even when the underlying link is perfectly healthy. Imagine two routers configured to expect a hello message from each other every 10 seconds. Router A sends a hello. Router B receives it. 9 seconds pass. Router A sends another hello, but this time, the network is briefly congested. The hello arrives at router B 11 seconds after the last one, 1 second late. Router B has a dead timer set to 10 seconds. It declares router A unreachable. It withdraws routes. Updates propagate. 2 seconds later, router A's next hello arrives normally. Router B sees its neighbor is back. Routes are reinstated. More updates propagate. The physical link never failed. Not a single user-facing packet was dropped due to a link problem, but the routing layer responded as if the link had come and gone because a hello message arrived a moment late. This kind of timer-induced flapping is particularly insidious because it leaves no physical evidence. Diagnostic tools show the link as healthy. Packet loss measurements look fine. The only trace is in routing protocol logs, showing routes being withdrawn and reinstated over and over, triggered by timer events that look like failures, even when they aren't. The fix is usually timer tuning, adjusting hello intervals and dead timers to give more tolerance for normal network jitter, or upgrading to faster, more resilient failure detection mechanisms that are less vulnerable to momentary delays. But first, you have to know to look there. What ties all of this together is a single underlying reality. Routing systems are built on trust between neighbors, and that trust is maintained through continuous, time-sensitive communication. As long as the communication is reliable and timely, the trust holds and routes stay stable. When the communication becomes unreliable, whether due to physical problems, congestion, misconfiguration, or timing, that trust breaks down, routes get withdrawn, networks reconverge, and if the unreliability is persistent, the withdrawal and reinstatement cycle repeats, consuming resources and degrading experience across a scope far larger than the original problem. Route flapping is the routing system doing exactly what it was designed to do, responding to perceived changes in the network. The problem is that the changes it's responding to are themselves unstable, real enough to trigger the protocol mechanisms, not real enough to stay consistently in one state. The network's response, dampening, suppression, timer adjustments, is a set of coping mechanisms, ways of absorbing the instability at the routing layer before it propagates too widely. None of them fix the underlying cause, they just limit the blast radius, while someone finds and fixes whatever is making that route unable to make up its mind. Next time your connection cuts in and out for no visible reason, works, fails, on a cycle that seems almost rhythmic, there's a reasonable chance something like this is happening somewhere upstream. A route somewhere in the infrastructure beneath you, flickering between states, each flicker sending a ripple of updates through rotors you'll never see, operated by organizations you've never heard of, affecting your experience in a way that leaves no trace on any device you can inspect. The Internet is a distributed system. Its stability depends on thousands of independent components, all behaving reliably and consistently. When one doesn't, when one route can't decide what it is, the effects travel much further than the source.